Hello everybody, what is going on? Today we're looking at a little clip of my own gameplay from Starfield in the kind of early launch, I don't want to call it early access, it's not really early access, but the early launch state where you can play it a few days early if you spend some extra money. And the point of this video is to show you really just what the gameplay of this game is like, as well as show the performance. We have that up in the top left hand corner there. That is the NVIDIA overlay. Again, specs if you're curious, and the settings of the game itself. 4070 Ti, a Ryzen 7 5800X processor, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and a 4 terabytes SSD that are at minimum the same speed as it is in the new consoles like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So we're seeing performance-wise already, not great performance. We are at 1440p. We are at mostly ultra settings. We have a few things like shadows and off-screen light turned down to high, and we do have FSR2 on at quality setting at about, I think, 80% of the resolution. You don't really want to go too much lower than that with FSR2, or you're going to get some issues with the image quality. You can find a lot more about that and how that affects things if you go to channels that review that kind of stuff like Digital Foundry or Hardware Unboxed. They'll read and watch a lot more about that kind of stuff. But the performance itself, not great. Could we knock it down to medium and get an extra, 20 FPS and turn all these things down and turn FSR from quality to performance and, have a really blurry image but with a higher frame rate? We could, but with a 4070 Ti, you should not have to do that. So the performance is, I would say, lacking. It's not abysmal. There's been many worse games this year that have come out that had much worse performance, but it's not great. Now, secondly, if you're looking at the game here, you're seeing the gameplay, you're probably thinking to yourself, first of all, this guy can't aim a gun, and you are right in the sense that this game's aiming is a little wonky on mouse and keyboard, as it has been for most Bethesda games. I don't know if it's something they usually patch. You'll probably find a mod for it. There's probably already a mod for it. But if you are planning on playing this game, it's not a very intensive game. I would recommend, even on PC, using a controller. Next thing quickly is the menu system. You'll see me open the menus here, go in my inventory, all that kind of stuff. The menus are, people complain about Skyrim's menus at launch, right? And there's a whole, what is it called, the Sky UI mod. That is, if anyone's modding Skyrim, they have Sky UI. The inventory, the management, the subsystems, the menus are abysmal in this game. They're awful. And I don't know if they'll also be patched, but mods will certainly handle them if they are not. It's not a do or die thing, but it is something to be aware of. The biggest thing, the biggest two things, I guess, I want you to be aware of with this game if you're undecided on it. Number one is this is Fallout in space. Now the tone and the story aren't going to be obviously Fallout-like, but in terms of what you're doing, how you're acting, how you're shooting, what enemies are doing, it is Fallout in space. So if you are okay with that, great. If you're expecting something more, I think you're going to be a little bit disappointed. Some reviewers I've seen hype up the main story here as the best main story in any Bethesda mainline game. I've only gotten 5 hours in, I can't say that completely. From what I've experienced of it though, it's about as interesting as any other Bethesda game mainline RPG is, which is to say, not very. But usually it shines in the side quests, and so far already in my about 5 hours of playing, that is certainly the case. The last thing I wanted to share before this clip wraps up this gameplay is if you're expecting something like Fallout 4 or Skyrim with a continuous region to explore that you can walk from one end of to the other, this game is not like that. Obviously, if you have different planets, you're fast traveling between them, and even on the same planet, multiple points of interest, you're kind of walking just a bunch of barren land in between those points. That'll take anywhere between a minute to maybe even 10 or 15 minutes to walk to that area. There might be some points of interest along the way, a couple random creatures, a random dead person you'll find with some loot. But there's really nothing in between those areas of note once you've done that more than one or two times. So just be aware of that. There's going to be a lot of fast traveling. Think of it more as not like a full Fallout 4 or a full Skyrim, etc. But think of how the DLC is made for those games, where it's like, oh, here, Far Harbor, oh, you fast travel, you travel to this new area that's pretty big, but it's separate from the main map. That's this entire game. Every area is like the separate from the main map area, which I know for me at least, and I feel a lot of other people as well, that's one of the things that makes Fallout and Skyrim cool, is that I can just walk from one end of it to the other. I can have my eye caught dozens of times by all kinds of things I see on the way. Whereas so far in my 5 or so hours of playing this, it's more just, alright, where's my next mission? Go there, fast travel. Alright, there's the point of interest, walk to it, nothing interesting along the way, get there, talk to a person, rinse and repeat, etc. Obviously with some variations in between. Here I step on a mine and set myself on fire, which was pretty fun. Don't even know who I was shooting at over there. Again, we see the FPS, the lows dropping into the high 30s. 1440p again, 4070 Ti. Dropping to the high 30s with not much going on screen. And you'll see it, I think, even worse in the more densely populated cities if you go and watch some reviews or technical analysis on this game. You'll find that it performs even worse than what you're seeing here. But those are the things I wanted to share, what to expect with this game in terms of its gameplay, its map, and its performance. Those are the 3 biggest things I noticed. So I hope these help you, I hope this enlightens you, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a great one out there.